You're watching Every Days and Saturdays, USCC Veteran. Let's go, baby. And here's your host, Bryan. And what's going on, friends and family? Thank you guys so much for joining us on another great episode of Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie. How we doing this morning, Marie?
I am doing okay. I've had a long weekend, but I am doing a little bit better now. I'm exhausted. Um, I'm I had the opportunity on Sunday to record with one of our fellow veteran podcast, Homefront Sit Rep, and I was super excited to do that. And then I also Rich LaMonica from what's it called? What did I just forget? His podcast.
Oh gosh,
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation sent me a t-shirt. So you can't really see
geez,
it.
You're wearing the dang shirt. She should have just went like this and looked in and read it.
Yeah. But Rich LaMonica from Misfit Nation sent me a t-shirt. I got that this weekend. He was a guest on our show a few weeks ago, and I'll be a guest
Rich,
on
where's
his
mine
show
at,
soon.
brother?
Yeah. So, I got this, anyway, so it's been a decent weekend dealing with some emotions, but overall it's I'm doing good.
Outstanding.
So,
And like I've said before, she has been quite busy getting us guests, and I think we're pretty dang full, pretty much the end of the
oh yeah.
season. So just to give you guys a heads up, since we are kind of getting closer to the end of the year, I can't believe this. We're about to kind of end season 3. We'll be ending season 3 on Veterans Day. So that's November 11th for you that don't know. The day after the Marine Corps birthday, November 10th, 250 years, by the way. So that's kind of usually how the show goes. And then we'll still be kind of doing some interviews and things like that just to get ourselves set up for season 4, which I cannot believe that I'll be running for the 4th season. That is so wild to think that this all just began on me telling my story, and it's completely evolved into something great. And I love what we've done with Coffee Talk and bringing on Marie and what she's been able to bring to the table and add as a co-host. It's been a great ride. So during that time, take the opportunity to go back and listen to all the great interviews and episodes that have gone on for the past 3 years.
We'll be ending the season. We'll be ending the season on a pretty special note. Like, we might have another interview after that, but one of the last interviews that we'll be doing of the season is with Jamie Butters, who is our sponsor over at Cash Coffee. On October 21st, I am going in person to Logan, Utah, which is about an hour away from me. And we're going to go sit in his shop, and we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to talk all about Cash Coffee and how awesome they are, and their safe program where you can bring your guns if you're feeling unsafe. And they've got all sorts of drinks and merch and all sorts of stuff. And that is going to be such a fun recording. I'm so excited. So it's kind of perfect that it'll be ending of the season to have him on.
You guys are going to be in for a treat to meet Jamie. Jamie is raw, unfiltered, good dude. Stands firm on his beliefs, and he's just a great dude. He's been through a lot of stuff himself, recovery, him and his wife. They've been through a lot. So hearing his story, you guys are really going to be in for a treat. He's just a really outstanding dude. And that gives us a chance to do what we usually do and brew up some coffee through some Cash Coffee. Yeah. So once again, if you guys haven't tried some Cash Coffee, go ahead and hit up the link that will be in the description of the show, and it'll take you to right to the website. They have some great flavors, as well as they have good stuff for nutrition. If you want to get on supplements and things of that nature, they have that as well, and they have some really cool shirts, hats, coffee cups, all kinds of cool merch in there. If you're kind of an offended type, you might not appreciate their shirts. If you're kind of one that has a little bit of some little wit and fun, you'll appreciate the shirts. So
And for those of us who don't drink coffee or caffeine, they have hot chocolate there. And if you do drink caffeine, just not coffee, they've got monsters and stuff. So there are plenty of options there.
and if you're in Logan, Utah, go visit them and say hello and let them know you watch Every Day's a Saturday USMC veteran and tell them that we said hello. And I'm sure you'll enjoy some coffee and some company with either his wife. I believe her name is Mindy.
Yeah, I think
Damien.
so.
Yeah. So awesome people and looking forward to it. So, all right. Now we have our next guest though. And she's been
Before we
waiting
do
back
that,
there. Oh, yep.
before we do that, I got a
Oh,
poem to read,
yep.
if that's okay.
No, absolutely. It's okay. It's what we do.
Okay,
I'm going to
so
disappear.
huh?
I'm disappearing now. Don't forget. The
Okay.
stage is yours. Oh,
So
wrong.
this poem is a special poem. For those of you who don't know, today is my birthday, actually. So it's a very special podcast. It's my
Well,
birthday.
jeez.
Yep.
Gosh, happy birthday, Marie. Gosh damn it. The first thing when our guest comes on, we're singing happy birthday.
Oh,
Dang it.
I'm okay with that.
Jeez.
So I am 38 today, and the poem that I'm going to read today is about. I originally named it my birthday poem. I started writing it a couple years back, but I finished it in March and posted it. But this is my birthday poem, and it's called "Passing Time." Another year has come and gone, so many lessons learned, some smiles and accomplishments, and some scars I have earned. I've aged a year, it feels like 10. I felt old and young, though I know despite frustration, aging can be fun. I'm older and wiser, as they say, and taking responsibility to check my motives every day and break through my heart's fragility. Many years were intense for me, for trauma had taken hold. And so I've been addressing things. I'm learning to be bold. It's been tough to get used to new people and a new home. I've missed some friends now far away. Sometimes I feel alone. Yet pushing through the urge to run or to isolate, I've accomplished many things God set on my plate. New friends I've made and goals I've set, the road sometimes intense. I've been able to break through my mind's own defense. In the past, I had felt frozen, not challenging myself. I felt like a little doll who watched life from a shelf. I'm grateful God gave me a chance to start my life anew. For now, I have the strength to find new things to pursue. I'm finding my feet I forgot were there, and now I can walk free. I'm finding the value in serving others to help them heal like me. I have some plans in place to serve my sisters and my brothers, learning that my worth can't be compared to any others. I don't know how this life will end, the future is a mystery, yet I know I can't make choices based on my past history. I try to live each day with faith in God above, letting Him guide my steps, surrounded by His love. I know things won't come easy on this journey I pursue. Something tells me in the end, I'll be happy with how I grew.
Ganito na. Eyo! Wimpo! Okay, pivotara. It's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. Ba 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 banana. Ba 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 banana. Oh, ba 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 banana.
Oh, that was awesome.
There you go. The little birthday treat for you. We'll let the minions sing the happy birthday song. All
Thank
right.
you
So
so
go
much.
ahead and thank you for that great poem, by the way. And now it's time for our guest. Go ahead and introduce our guest.
Okay, so today I'm super excited to introduce Tera. And Tera, I met her when I was in a Wounded Warrior Project class, poetry class. So it was just the day that we just came on there and just shared some of our poetry and just collaborated. And it was a lot of fun. So Tera is from Shiprock, New Mexico. She is a Navajo U.S. Army veteran, as well as a Townsend University alumni with 2 bachelor's degrees in forensic chemistry and deaf studies, which is awesome. She
That's
is
a
looking
smart one.
forward to she is looking forward to applying to the University of Northern Colorado for their American Sign Language English interpretation undergraduate program next year. She is the creator of the Yiiyah Podcast, which I found out Yiiyah means scary, so it's kind of like a scary podcast.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, it's an interesting way. And please forgive me if I'm wrong, Tara. So when we bring you on there, but she spotlights MMIW, which is missing and murdered Indigenous women and warriors. So it used to be missing and murdered Indigenous women, if I remember correctly, but now it's missing and murdered Indigenous warriors. And Tara's War Paint, where she features makeup artistry. She is the proud aunt of 2 nieces and 2 nephews, and on her spare time, Tara enjoys jamming to black metal with her dad while drinking
Wow.
coffee
Nice.
and loves reading with her black cats, and she just got a new one. So
And I see
that
their
is Tara.
backgrounds like kind of like Halloween. So she's I love it.
I love Tara. I'm super excited to have her on.
All right, so let's bring her on in. Tera, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me, and happy birthday, Marie.
Thank you. We're so happy that you're here, Tara. Like, I love it. I love it. What was I correct with the Yiiyah about scary? Yeah.
Yeah, it means like scary, spooky, mysterious. You don't know what's lurking in the dark. So they say yeah, like scary. So
Love that. All right. So this is your opportunity to kind of let us know, just give us a brief overview of your service time and then kind of let us know what getting out was like for you and obviously what life how it was separate, when it was separating for you. Was it easy, hard? Um and if you went through a lot of trauma and things like that, if you want to share all that kind of stuff, because this is an opportunity to heal out loud. We're really sharing with our listeners, uh, what it's like to heal and making it be okay, right? To heal out loud. Because a lot of people, I feel like they got to suppress their feelings and can't show how they feel. So we're trying to kind of break that and normalize the healing out loud. I love Marie. she's the one that kind of threw that out there, and I've just been kind of grabbing on to that healing out loud because I really love that saying because I think it's important this day and age, especially to kind of do that. So the
So
floor is all yours. Yeah.
share with us also, like, if you for my own journey, right? Like my healing out loud had to start with some of my childhood stuff. So if you have
Mhm.
some childhood stuff, feel free to share some of that. Teenage years, military, and then how it affected you, all of that, how it's affected you when you got out, and
Yeah.
what you've kind of done. Yeah, like Bryan was saying, like talk to us about how you've come back up, and the different projects that you're working on now.
Yes. Yes, because I've fallen down quite a few times in my life. So,
Mhm.
let's see. I am from Shiprock, New Mexico. I grew up on the Navajo Nation Reservation. I grew up without electricity, running water, access to clean clothes, um, just not so great environments for children. And thankfully, when I became a teenager, I was able to move in with my dad, who gave me access to school, to clean clothes, and just a safe home. And I got to high school, didn't really know what I wanted to do with college or my life. So I decided to take the ASVAB one day to get out of class, and my scores were pretty good. I was visited by recruiters, and my first choice was actually the Air Force, but we kept missing each other with meeting times, and it just didn't work out. So I took that as a sign, and I went with the Army. And it came time to choose my job. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I spent days going through the logs of videos and trying to see what interested me. And I couldn't find anything. So I flipped through the binder, picked one, and it said 25 uniform. And I said, I'll be that. And it's a signal support system specialist. And they work on radios. And I love that because my ancestors were the Navajo code talkers in World War II in the Marines. So I was like, yes, represent. So
I actually
I,
served with someone from New Mexico from the Navajo tribe. His last name's
nice.
Other Medicine. Yeah, I don't.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah. He was he was awesome, dude.
yeah.
He loved to drink. Let me tell you what.
Did
uh,
did you actually know any of your ancestors that were code talkers, or did they had they passed away?
Um, some of them, I knew one, James Patterson, I believe. I don't believe I'm related to him, but I've seen him do some, like, not talks, but like make some appearances and kind of do some uh not prayers, but like words of wisdom kind of stuff. So there was one co-talker who he's passed now, but his home was just completely just unlivable. The roof was
mm,
caving in, the floors were just destroyed, and thankfully they had come and rebuilt his home, but he didn't get to enjoy it that long. But it was a it was um unfortunate to see that he, gave for his country and then had to live like that. But
you don't talk about how instrumental code talkers were
mhm,
in that war, and I don't feel like we do them enough honor. I mean, there was the movie really portrayed a great. It gave, I think, a lot more shed light on it because before then there wasn't a lot of talk about that, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I imagine that you guys. I mean, it's such a sacred history that I think that I imagine you guys talk about it often in your guys's community and stuff like that. I feel that it's just not talked about enough in general, and
exactly.
that's one thing in general, I don't think we emphasize our heroes, our real live heroes, you know what I mean, in general, in the veteran community and the military. And a lot of the code talkers, they were part of a war that a lot of people didn't even appreciate and things of that nature. So um, it's sad to hear that, as a veteran, that actually really was instrumental in a war, the way he kind of had to live,
Mm-hmm.
because no one shares that part, right? We don't share the downfall and the outcome of what ends up happening to these veterans, and he probably wasn't asking for much ever. He probably just lived in his way, and probably wasn't complaining about it either.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And they did like a film where they documented the process. They would go to his house and chop wood for him and get his wood ready for the winter and bring him food and stuff. And he was just so old at that point that he couldn't really do stuff for himself. So it was cool to see them come in and see what they did for him, and they had filmed it. It was really
Now, on the
cool.
reservations, are they just trying to keep it more simple and not trying to be so modernized? Is that kind of why it was that way, or
Yeah, I was
Part of
just gonna
it.
ask, is this a pattern that you have experienced on the Navajo Nation? Because it sounds like you dealt with, no electricity, no water when you were a child. He dealt with not having his house taken care of. Like, is there a lack of funding? Is there, stuff that's going on there that's kind of like systematic?
Yes, I believe it's a lack of awareness as well, because there are still people who live without electricity and water today. They don't have access to clean
that's
water.
wild.
And there's funding to do water projects to help bring water, but it's just, I'm not sure if it's like not being built fast enough, or um if it's not being like
Handled right or something,
prioritized. Yeah,
right?
exactly. So it's happening, but it's just slowly, and it's been years now. So I really don't know like the reasons behind all of that, but it's really sad that the children don't have that access today on the reservation, on and off the reservation, on the border towns.
Especially
I'm
for health
sorry.
reasons and stuff of that nature, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
um yeah, that is unfortunate. I didn't know if that was just part of the culture and they're trying to be
Limit what
more
their resources.
simple. Like, the Amish folks, they don't do with like technology and things of that nature. I didn't know if that on the reservations you guys are kind of not trying to, be as
Like
modernized, or if it's
preserve
just
the
But it sounds
landscape and
right,
all
correct.
that.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
not bringing
it
on
sounds
the
like it being forced.
5G. I don't know if you guys still have I mean, I imagine Wi-Fi's there now by now, but I mean, I don't even know. Maybe they don't want to maybe they don't want to bring in a lot of stuff to modernize it,
Slowly,
whatever
they
reason.
are slowly. There's Wi-Fi, but it's so slow and ridiculously expensive that it's
Ah,
just not even worth even having internet on the reservation at this point, which sucks because of COVID. When COVID happened, the schools weren't equipped. They didn't have like Wi-Fi strong enough or ready for the amount of traffic that COVID brought. So you had families sitting outside the parking lots trying to get Wi-Fi access outside the schools,
wow.
doing their children's homework at 9 o'clock at night while in their cars. And it's just, we tried to bring them hotspots, and we
Mm.
tried with technology, and it just was not, the coverage is just not there.
Yeah, because no towers, I imagine, are allowed to be built on the reservation and things of
Mhm.
that nature. Now, do a lot of people try to leave the reservation, or is it they're kind of stuck there? I mean, because they can't get out, or if it's, sometimes you're just kind
Yeah,
of, if you
it's
get
it's
stuck in such a way, you can't even get transportation to go off the reservation. can't have
it's
Wi-Fi to
hard.
apply for jobs. I don't know if they try to
Exactly.
keep people stuck there type deal, or that's
It's
part of it
hard.
too.
It's hard to have a career, to go to school. It's hard to have a job, to get your children to childcare. There's hardly any childcare, and it's like it's just so many obstacles that are set for you to fail, and you're just not able to
You're up
overcome
against
a
the
lot of them.
odds.
Yes,
Right. Yeah, you're
exactly.
definitely up against the odds, it sounds like.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of ways that my brain is going right now, but one of them is did that I know we're kind of like jumping forward a little bit, but I'll probably go back because I've got some other questions too. But is kind of some of the difficulties, that you experienced on tribal land, is that one of the things that pushed you into joining the military and getting out and doing something different?
Part of it,
Okay.
because I wanted to see what else was out there. My grandfather on my mother's side was very, very close to me. He was deaf, which was why I got into sign language.
I was just
And
gonna. I was also kind of sorry. I'm kind of like interrupting you, but to add in my next question into this while you're talking, my other question was: did your ancestral relatives being code talkers and interpreters, did that affect you becoming someone who's involved with the deaf community? And so you're kind of answering it that it came from this person in your life that was deaf, but also did the code talking affect it?
part
So
of it,
continue.
yes.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
wanted to be able to
And
communicate. Obviously, you had a lot of respect for him, and it's
yes,
up to the level that you wanted to learn
yes,
how to communicate still with. That's amazing.
yes. And he was born hearing, and he spoke Navajo when he was little. And when he was a toddler, he got a really bad ear infection. And the hospital's like miles away, and you can't, you know, like get your child to a hospital on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. So they didn't get him to the hospital in time. So he became deaf from his ear infection. And when he got older, he was forced to speak English. And then when he went to New Mexico School for the Deaf, he was forced to not use sign language. So he was twice oppressed. And
He couldn't
he
speak Navajo and he
mhm.
couldn't, yeah.
God.
And he never spoke of what he went through when he was younger. I asked him about 100 times and he never told me. But he passed in 2018 from cancer, and that completely destroyed me. But I know I keep jumping ahead, but
No,
No,
it's okay.
it's all
That's
good.
how we
so
do. That's how
Yeah.
we do. We kind of go back and forth. So yeah.
so
I think
let's
all of our brains work that way, so you're
yeah.
probably talking to people that brains work the exact same way
Yeah.
too, so it's all good.
So after high school, I joined the military. It was a complete culture shock to me because I was not used to the humidity. I was not used to being around so many women at the same time, or men. Like I wasn't used to that environment.
And I
And
mean, at this point in time, had you been pretty much on the reservation your entire life? Did you
yes,
guys so
yes,
you weren't even around other nationalities and
not
other
really,
races
no.
and stuff like that either,
Yeah,
right? So
no,
you're getting used to
no.
all kinds of stuff, probably people that talk country as hell,
Yes,
you know what I mean? All
different
this stuff that's like,
accents, and I'm
Well,
like,
and
whoa.
Bryan, men don't understand how different it is to have so many women in one room. Men just don't
One
understand.
room.
Oh, I
Women
imagine.
women are it's just a different animal,
You never know
especially
what you're gonna get.
especially when you get us all synced up, and that's a fact
Yes.
that starts
Oh,
That
happening.
right.
that
Yes,
is
And
yes.
yeah, and this is your dad. You want to introduce
yes,
him?
my
I
dad.
see him.
They saw you. This is my
Ah,
dad.
hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Her dad is also a veteran as
Oh,
well.
No, no,
thank
no,
you.
no, no, no,
Oh,
no.
he's
He's
not.
No.
Sorry.
He just
Sorry.
represents me.
Yeah. He's
But
like super supportive of
yes,
Tara. Yeah.
yes, he
Sorry
Love
about
is.
it.
that.
Yes,
I
he
for
is.
some reason I
Oh
thought
no,
that he
you're
was. Yeah.
fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
So after the military, I
What was
decided
your
to
military? Sorry.
what was what?
What was your job while you were in the Army?
Commo?
Signal.
Signal. hmm
Signal, okay. So
And
kind
And
of
when
briefly describe what Signal does, because there's a lot of people out there that
we
might not understand.
oh right. We worked on radios, we worked on satellites, we worked on computers, anything technology, we worked on it. Anything people said, and if it had an extension cord, we worked on it.
So you did pretty good on the ASVAB, I would say then. You and then
Yeah.
kind of a technical job, you did good.
Mhm. I
so
took it when I was a sophomore.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang.
And then I
so
enlisted when I was a junior. My dad
what's
had
the
this.
sorry, what's the time frame of this? When did you take the ASVAB? When did you join the military? What was the year time frame?
It was a matter of months. A matter
What
of months.
year?
What year? 2008?
Okay.
Yeah,
2008. Awesome. Okay.
2008. And then I graduated in 2009. I left for basic, not even maybe a week and a half after graduation, I left. And it was like, I'm really glad that I did it. I would do it again, and I would cherish the people that I met more and appreciate my time with them, because you just did not get enough time with a lot of people. And I think of my battle buddies often, and I hope, they're doing okay. I keep in contact with many of them, and I just, I'm just so grateful for the experience. And I will say, like, I got out in 2013, June 2013. And then December 2013, I started at Towson University in Maryland. And I thought I was ready for it. I thought I could, be a student again, because it was only 4 years. I could do it again. And it was not what I expected. I had a very, very hard time adjusting, finding my place, and just trying to fit in. I struggled because I was
Before you go, sorry, I was going to say, before you go into the details of that, can you just give us a little overview of what you experienced in the military? Did you deploy?
oh yes, I'm
Did you
sorry.
experience? Yeah. Did you? What was kind of a little bit of your experience that made it hard for you to transition back?
I did deploy. I deployed just once to Iraq in 2010, 2011. I was not used to the amount of work that it took, because it was just
No time off
nonstop.
over there.
Yes,
Sheesh.
no time off. And it was just, um, it was a hard time for me, because right before deployment, I got pregnant. And
Mm.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm only 18. I'm gonna be 19. What am I gonna do? I'm not ready. And for one reason or another, it did not work out. I ended up miscarrying, and I just got my mind ready for deployment. I didn't have time to process what happened. And it was just like, I'm in the middle of deployment. We're getting bombed every day, and it's like stressful. And I haven't processed what my body went through, what my mind just went through. And it was just something I kind of just pushed back and just kept going. And
Where did you get deployed to?
oh my goodness, Kirkuk. And after deployment, we got back, and I had just turned 21 and kept thinking that, excuse me?
I was just gonna say, so that was some big formative years. Like, you went right out of high school, you get pregnant, you have a miscarriage, you know, you're 19 and 20 in Iraq dealing
Did you get pregnant with someone that
wars.
was also in the army, or
Yeah.
was it? Yeah.
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 So
So yeah.
that's some heavy
Whole other
formative
thing. That's a whole
years.
other thing too, because I imagine you're going through some relationship deal, you know,
Yeah.
with that individual as well. Because was
Mhm.
that person ready to be a daddy?
No,
Right.
Yeah.
not at
Yeah.
all.
So
But
yeah.
even
So
if
I imagine the whole thing was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
what do
yeah,
we
but
do?
even if you're not ready, like, knowing that you have that life inside of you, like, you had to mourn. And
Mhm.
yeah, you're
Mhm.
dealing with mourning and feeling unsafe already.
Yeah.
And so that
You barely
affects a
got to
lot, especially
process being
that
pregnant.
age. Yeah,
Mhm.
especially just that age. Like, you were
Yeah.
so young.
Yeah.
Like, that is a lot to deal with.
Yes. And at this time, I didn't have a car. I was trying to find my way to pregnancy PT, not fitting in with the girls. And then
Because you're still new too, right? I mean,
yes,
you're
I'm still
considered
new.
a boot, and they're probably like, "This girl's already pregnant."
Yep,
You know, the
yep,
shit talking is probably
exactly.
starting. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Exactly. And I already knew, like, yeah. And um
Yeah.
I just didn't like I didn't do it on purpose. It just
Right.
happened.
Sure.
And so I find myself um bleeding before an ultrasound, and my first ultrasound. And I guess that was when I miscarried. And then I have my ultrasound, and they're like, "Oh, they'll call you and let you know." And I was like, "Okay." And I still didn't know what to think. And then my primary care calls and said that I had to come in for to talk. So we go in and talk, and I sit down with her, and I'm like 4, 5 weeks, and she tells me that I miscarried. And I start crying, and I will never forget, she, like, just looks at me and goes, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, "I just had a miscarriage, like, you're telling me this." And then they told me that it was a possible ectopic pregnancy,
Oh,
where
and those are dangerous. If people don't
where
know what an ectopic pregnancy is, it's where the egg attaches into the, fallopian tube.
Mhm,
And if
Oh,
that
yeah. Oh.
baby if that egg starts growing, then
mhm,
it could burst the fallopian
first,
tubes, and it could be fatal.
yeah. So I had to walk my little butt down to the clinic every morning to get my hormone levels taken, to make sure my levels were going down, which it did.
So you're going through a miscarriage actively, and they are making you walk to go and do all of these evaluations and stuff. That is
And
heavy.
and is the dude being supportive, not supportive at this time? Yeah. So you just,
No.
boy. So I feel like for you too, like, you know, you've been on the reservation your entire life. You get out of it. You're in this atmosphere that you never experienced, and you
Yes.
just totally fell right into it, right?
And
Like,
Yes, I'm like walking in the dark to the clinic. I'm passing by these
Oh,
military buildings and I'm like, how did I get here? I'm only like I'm still young and I had no idea. Just I felt like I disappointed like my family, my dad, myself, because I joined to serve my country and I'm about to serve and then this happens. So,
Well, and then you've got the added layer too, which I don't think a lot of people understand. Native American culture is so rooted in community support and community. You guys are there for each other through thick and thin.
mhm,
There's so much support there, and it sounds like you're going through this, and you're not having the community. You're in the military, which is supposed to be a new community, but you've got
mhm,
doctors like telling you, like, yeah, just suck it up, get over it. You are walking alone at night. You are dealing with a partner who is not supportive. I can't imagine like the emotions that you're going through as you're losing this child that you thought you were going to have. It doesn't matter how far along you are. The fact of the matter, it's a child that you thought you were going to have. You're losing that. You're not having the support. It sounds like it was a very, very lonely spot. And then on you
mhm.
add on top of this, then you get deployed.
Yeah,
And so that sounds like you went through a rough spot for a little while.
yeah, yeah. So after deployment, I kind of realized like, whoa, like I could have been a mom and it kind of messed me up. And I turned 21, I started drinking, and it just got the best of me. It really, really did. And for a few years, even after I got out, I was still drinking a lot. And then I took it with me to school, to college. I'm going to Towson and I'm drinking a lot and instead of studying. And I'm just like,
going into an atmosphere where it already is prevalent there too, right?
exactly,
Not gonna help your situation at
exactly.
all.
And like, like, there was nobody like me that I could find there. So I felt alone. I felt very isolated and I felt I felt like giving up. There were many times where I called my dad just crying and I'm like, I want to come home. I want to come home. And he's like, you wanted to go to school, Tera. This is what you wanted. You need to finish it. So I finally decided to try and seek the Veterans Center on campus. So I
Mm.
go there
So
and
really quick, I just want to throw out there for those of you who are starting school or are going to start school, most colleges have a veteran center.
mhm,
And I know for me, it saved my life when I started going to school. So it's a veteran center that you can go to. They will help you with registration, they'll help you with classes, they'll help you with tutoring, they'll help you with community. So I just want to put it out there that if you are in school and you are struggling, like Tara was just saying, feeling like you're isolated and you're alone, go find your veteran center. So
mhm,
just wanted to throw that out there too. But continue.
yes.
You were giving the perfect example of one of the resources that is available to all. So thank
Yes.
you.
So I go there and I sign in my first time walking in and they're like, "Oh, what brings you in?" And I'm 5'1". So I'm not too short, I'm not too tall. And I'm like, "Oh, I was in the army and stuff." And
5'1's
um
not too short?
yes, it's not too short. I'm just
Alright,
kidding.
I like that. Yeah, you're above 5 foot, so, hey, not too short.
So I sign in, and from behind me, I hear, "You were in the army?" And I was like, I turned around, and it was this lady, this chick sitting on the couch on the lounge, in the lounge area. And she was like looking at me, and I was like, okay, maybe this isn't my spot. So I just never went back after she said
Oh
that. But
no.
don't let my experience deter you from the Veteran Center. It's a great
Now,
resource.
is it because you just didn't feel validated as a veteran based off of like the
Yeah.
question? I mean, imagine. See, the
It was
thing
it
about
was
it is, this happens with a lot of females,
it
and
was the
you know that's
tone.
why, right?
The
Because
tone
I mean, this
shifted
happens
it.
with a lot of female veterans, right? Even Marie and her husband are both veterans. She's gone into places, and they don't even think that she's a veteran. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
immediately look right at her husband.
Mhm.
I'm a veteran too, guys. You know what I mean? And so I feel like in the female population, it's always been a struggle to validate their status as a veteran, which it should not be that way, right?
Right.
But it is hard because it is more of a male dominant um industry, right? I would say it's probably 80%.
Mhm.
I don't know what the ratio is, but I mean it. So I think that it's important to kind of emphasize that part, and also not to be discouraged either as a
Yes.
female veteran, that sometimes, yes, you do got to fight a little bit to validate yourself, but
Yeah.
don't let that stop you.
Mhm.
Well, and the
Mhm.
thing is the reality is there are assholes everywhere. There's going to
Yeah.
be people that are judgmental anywhere.
Even
So
more so
I'm
now
sorry.
today.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry that you know you felt disrespected and whatnot, and
Yeah.
that sucks.
And it
And that's
was
something that just kind of like throwing another another eggshell. Brian does another podcast. If you get a chance, go check it out. That's called Divisive Measures, and he's focusing a lot on like the division that's going on. But one of the focuses of division is within the veteran community. There are so many people that are just so judgmental, of
Mm.
others. They like, oh, you're not a true veteran. Oh, your service doesn't count. Oh, you're
Combat.
Mhm.
Oh,
not.
you didn't do enough in combat though. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like
And so
it's crazy, the toxicity.
yeah. So
Yes.
so it happens a lot. So it sounds like you just had someone that was, kind of focused more on that divisive, like, let me judge you. What's going on with them? I wonder why she was feeling like that. But I'm sorry that
Right.
that happened to you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
and
fun.
I say that because at the time I was alone. I felt alone and just really by
That didn't
myself.
help. Right.
Yeah, it did not help. Like if I
Or your
could
mental state was, you just that obviously was such a like a trigger to you that just
Yeah.
turned you off.
exactly.
Yeah.
So then I tried I I missed the military a little, so I decided to try the reserves.
Oh.
And I said, maybe it will be for me. So I tried it for about almost 2 years and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. So, um, I think at
1
that
week in a
point
month, 2 weeks a year deal wasn't a good.
yeah, no, it wasn't.
And you know
It
what? A
was
lot of reserve units were getting activated and getting sent over too. So I mean, was your reserve unit ever activated or anything during those
no,
2 years, or
I
no?
don't
Thank goodness. Okay.
no. So after that, I think it was between being in the reserves and kind of trying to find my place, I guess. I managed to get sober. So I was sober for about 3, almost 4 years.
Now, was this a
Um,
decision on your own, or did you have like something help you get through getting
it it
sobriety?
was the it was a decision on my own because I was tired of feeling depressed and just really down about myself, that I thought that if I got sober and kind of worked on my mental health, that I could be in a better place. So
Did
I
so you said that you were getting sober.
mhm.
Did you utilize a facility or a program? You don't have to go into details, but I'm just curious. Or did you kind of do it on your own?
I used the VA in Baltimore.
Okay.
Really nice facility. Everyone there's
Inpatient type deal where you actually went to the facility, you stay
um
there, or was it just kind of you
no.
had visits?
I would go there for appointments and
Okay.
stuff, but that was about it. Because I was taking like 4 or 5 classes. I was working 2 jobs. I
Oh,
was really wearing myself thin. And so I decided to take on these mental health appointments to just do something for myself. And it helped a lot. It helped tremendously. Like, it helped me stay on the right track of being sober for those few years that I was. And I mentioned that my grandpa, my Che in Navajo, my
Che.
Che, he passed in 2018, and that was just like the beginning of another downward spiral that I just
a reason to drink again.
Yeah. So my 4 years of sobriety went down the drain, and I just started drinking again.
Hey,
And then,
let me say this, they don't go down the drain. They are there, and when you so for anybody else who is stuck in a relapse, remember that that's not wasted time. That
that's
is time
true.
that you learned and you grew
Mhm.
and you built up muscles, and if or when you decide to get sober, it is something to hold on to again.
It
So
will
it's just
assist you the next time
yes.
around,
Yes.
right?
So it
I
That's
didn't
mean,
go
at
down the
true.
some
drain.
point.
That's
So
true.
don't say
I
it like
take that
that
back.
because yes, it is part of your story, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like
Yeah.
people all have their own stories. So, don't judge yourself too harshly.
Yes. So 2018 he passed, and 2019 I decided to move back home to New Mexico. Well, rewind. He passed November 2018, and then I graduated December 2018.
Gosh, right before all the
So,
holidays too,
mhm.
and then yeah, and then you're getting ready to graduate, a milestone moment. I
Yeah.
And your
imagine that
grandpa.
was
Yeah.
Mhm.
extremely rough for you.
Yeah. It was really, really hard.
And you
And
learned sign language for him. Like, I mean, there's
mhm.
just gosh, geez.
Yeah. It was horrible. It was really sad, and I'm trying not to cry.
No, it's
Hey,
okay.
I
You're
I
good.
cry all the time on this
You're gonna make
podcast,
me cry because
so
of my grandpa now. Because I
yeah.
mean, I loved my grandpa so much too. Like, and
Mhm.
I literally spent his last days with him, and had to carry him out of his home and stuff. It just it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are
Mhm.
good feelings to let go, and we love our family, and it's okay to grieve. And I know
Yeah.
sometimes our grandparents took more care of us than our own parents did and stuff. Like I mean, it's just we kind of have a bond with those grandparents. So I get it.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, you're totally okay. No, it's 100% okay, and we get it. Um, just shows us how much he really meant to you, and it's good to remember him and talk about him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like
Yeah.
like Bryan was saying, you just spent all this time dedicating to like, hey, I want to learn this sign language so I could be there with him and be there for him. And you've got not only you've got the sadness, right? But you're grieving a life loss, but you're grieving a life that you thought you were going to have, and it's
Tara,
also you
it's
also
actually
deal
it's a really beautiful story. Sorry
yeah.
to cut you off,
Thank
Marie.
you.
No,
It's a
it's okay.
really beautiful story, and I think that it's something that you could build upon about how you wanted to maintain a relationship with your grandpa, so you wanted to keep dialogue with him some way or another, to the extent that you decided to go learn sign language. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that just speaks volume to your relationship with
Yes.
your grandpa. So,
And
um,
your dedication.
yeah, it's a story that has to be told because it's beautiful. I love that. And you know what? I imagine your grandpa never got to say it. I imagine it blessed and touched his heart too. He probably just didn't know how to express himself, especially that generation of folks. They're just so taught to be extremely tough and not hit those emotions. But I imagine for him, it had to touch him that his granddaughter took the time to learn. And I mean, imagine when you came to sign language to him, he was probably like, "What?" You know what I mean? Like it just how awesome. I
Yeah.
just think it's a great story.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was tough. Learning to live without him. I think I just couldn't fathom it that I just started drinking again. And um I moved back home in 2019 and I found a good job doing IT um at the local school district. And it was a great job. I had so much fun doing it. I, provided technology for children. And when COVID hit, I was an essential part of the team that um, you know, I touched I touched basically every MacBook that students got, every Chromebook students got, every iPad that students got. Like I did so much and I loved it, but I was still struggling, and it got to the point where I was drinking a fifth and two tall boys every single day. And it was starting to affect my health. Like I could feel like my liver, I could actually feel it like
Swollen up or
feel
something in there. You can feel it in
sore.
there.
Yeah, I could feel it.
Mm.
And so I went to the my primary care and did a follow up, and they said that my liver wasn't looking very good and that I should probably stop drinking because I was completely open with the VA that I was drinking and
Good
that
for
I was
you.
struggling.
That's a huge step. I want to put
Admitting.
that out there. That
Mhm,
is a huge step because like for me for years when I was getting the mental health treatment through the VA, it was like nothing was working because I would talk to them about this so they didn't ask me about this. So I wouldn't talk to them about the addictions and the alcoholism. And so it's like I'm talking about this and I'm just blowing smoke because I'm not talking about the real issue.
mhm,
Here is here I mean not the real issue but the solution that I am using. You're offering me solutions of therapy, but I'm not using these solutions. I'm using the alcohol, and so I'm not getting any better. And so I love that you are being honest, and that was one of the things when I got sober is you learn how to be honest
mhm,
completely. And
mhm,
so, I will put this out there for anybody who's listening. If you are struggling with your addictions, that's okay. Like it's part of where you're at right now, but the first thing that you have to do is admit that you have a problem, and you have to be open and you have to be honest about it.
yeah,
And don't give up on yourself.
mhm,
We'd all make mistakes
mhm,
and we do trip. The,
yep,
the part about it is do you stay on the ground or do you get right back up? You
mhm,
know, and that's it. And sometimes we got to get back up and dust ourselves off. That doesn't mean that we ruined it. That means that we might have a little stain on our pants now, but that doesn't mean that the pants are done. And so that I think it's important for everybody to understand that just because you trip up along the way, it's not like, oh, well, I did it, done. Like I screwed up.
Yes.
Now I'm going submarine into myself. That goes for even if you have like a workout routine and you can't do it a couple days. Sometimes people, well, I gave up a couple days. It's the same analogy. We just got to keep pushing and not be so hard on ourselves
mhm,
and understand that, hey, there may be the hiccup, but it's how do you react to that hiccup?
And
mhm,
it sounds like you did excellent in, hey, I'm not going to let this completely take over my life. So,
So
being
exactly, Tara.
open.
So you
Yeah.
just like you said that it went down the drain. No, because this second time around, you had awareness,
yeah,
right? And now
that's
you were
yeah,
be able to catch that awareness. That's the difference maker this next time around.
and you're
Yeah.
being open and honest, which is what we learn in recovery, is how to be
Mhm.
open and honest. So that is huge. Like, instead of using this as an excuse to run and hide, you're like, okay, I've been hiding for too long, but I'm going to be open about where I'm at. And so I love that you're being open with the VA. So continue what
Yes.
you were saying.
Yes. And I had to be, because I was in a state where I was scared. I was, it was like I felt
Were you
impending
scared of
doom.
yourself type deal? I mean, were you scared in the sense that you were kind of scared to even be around yourself type deal? Were you starting to
Kind
feel
of. Yeah,
like
that had
you
a
didn't want to
little
be
bit.
here anymore or anything like that? I mean, were you starting to feel,
Um,
that kind of thoughts going with your
yes,
head?
because I remember um I had to call off work because I felt like really bad anxiety one day, and I came home to try and look for my dad, because my dad is, my person, and he was not home at the time. And I started freaking out. Like, I started pacing and thinking, like it was the first time in my life ever where I actually thought, like, I might do something to myself. And it scared me. And I went to the bathroom and I held on to my cat, and I called my battle buddy in Georgia. And she stayed on the phone with me until my dad got home. And my dad got home, and my dad, like you said, the older generation, they're not really open about like mental health or like feelings and stuff like that. So I broke down to my dad, and my dad didn't understand what I was going through, and he didn't know. And he told me, Tera, I don't know how to be here for you, because I don't know what to do. And so I told him, like, just please just be here with me. And he had a physical therapy appointment that day for an hour. And he said, it's just for an hour, Tera. You can do this. And I was laying in his bed holding my cat, and he had the TV on in the background. I remember it was Kelly Clarkson, the Kelly Clarkson show, and she was interviewing Angela Bassett. And so when my dad left, I just focused on the interview, and I held on to their energy and just how positive they were being, and just like just smiling and speaking in a way that I wanted to be around that. I didn't want to be around what I was dealing with. So I just hung on to that interview, and my dad came home, and I was like, I need some serious help. Like, this, I don't know what's going on with me, but it's scary. It's scaring me. And I contacted the VA and told them that I was struggling and I was not okay. I was having nervous breakdowns at work. It was affecting my work, my relationships with my coworkers, my supervisors. Sorry, my cat.
He's on the
But
piano.
That was awesome.
I couldn't help
but
but laugh on that one.
I know. Oh, that's fun.
but those were times where I was scared, and I didn't understand what I was going through, because I tried reaching out to friends, I tried reaching out to family, and they were all just like not brushing me off, but like kind of telling me, like, I don't know what you're going through, but you need to cut it out, basically. And
Just get over it.
Get over it.
just get over it.
it. Drink
Right.
water, drive
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
that
I
same
was
mentality.
like,
It's for people who don't quite understand the trauma of addictions.
yeah.
Sometimes there's a lot of people that don't understand the powerlessness of addictions.
Mhm.
It's
Now,
not just something that we can get over. It's actually like if you are an addict or an alcoholic, and I'll touch base on this just real quick. If you're an addict and an alcoholic, like literally, it's scientifically like our brains process through the substance differently, and it produces the you we have a couple different things. We've got the obsession of the mind, right? We can't stop thinking about this addiction, and then you've got, as soon as it gets in our system, we metabolize it differently, and it turns into a phenomenon of craving. And so you've got this obsession of the mind, the phenomenon of craving, and then you've got this hopelessness that comes afterwards, because you're like, I can't just stop. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like I had a sponsee that was talking about, that she was doing an IQ test, because she's like, well, I know that I'm intelligent. Why can't I stop this addiction? And I had to explain to her, this is not something that it's not a power struggle. It's not an intelligence thing. It is literally, we process through things differently. It is a powerlessness that happens. And so a lot of people who don't have the same struggles don't understand it. And so it's not to condemn them for not understanding. It's
Mhm.
just, hey, it's not just something I could just put down. It's not willpower. And so you've got all of this going on, and then you've got that just hopelessness that comes in, and
Mhm.
you're dealing with all this trauma that you never dealt with either. And so you've got all of this going cycle. So it turns into a pretty powerless place. It turns into a pretty hopeless
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
now, Tara, I've always been super intrigued with reservation living. Now, in general, is that kind of the culture to suppress the mental health anyways? I mean, is it kind of always been a stigma in that culture to
Yeah.
not be so in touch with your mental health side? I mean, I feel like that's kind of always been that way because I you guys are considered warriors and things like that, and I imagine that in the warrior mindset that's a sign of weakness, right? And
Mhm.
so in
Mhm.
some people do look at that as a sign of weakness.
Mhm.
Now, we obviously know and we've learned that that doesn't mean that, but I mean, I know that in your guys' culture, I imagine it's even a little bit more tribal to that where they suppress mental health. Now, is that am I right on that or
Yes.
okay.
Yes. It is something that's not talked about. I know there are like efforts with mental health clinics trying to provide resources and stuff on the reservations for families, like, but it's still not talked about much,
Right? Because
unfortunately.
it's like once they start doing stuff, then they're admitting that there's a problem, right? And
Mhm.
that's probably something that doesn't want to be happen in the culture. They don't want to admit like there is a
Yeah.
mental health problem. And if we start giving clinics and start giving into it, then we're basically admitting that it's okay to have mental health problems. I feel
Mhm.
like that could
Yeah.
be a line.
Yeah.
So that kind of reminds me, of where we were in the military for so long. And like if you think about it, reservation is very similar to a base. There's a lot of similarities. We got this whole culture and whatnot. But I was just thinking, in the warrior cultures, it's something that we don't want to talk about. And so
True.
that's why in the military for so
Yep.
many years it was like, nope, can't talk about it. And so it sounds like the reservations are kind of very similar. They're on this track where they're starting, but they don't have as many resources as we have, and there's not a lot of the knowledge and stuff. So it sounds like you are you coming on here and other people who are doing this is part of the beginning culture of healing, and showing that awareness and showing that it's okay, which is what happened in the military. You had to have some people come forward and be the pioneers of mental health, and it sounds like you are being one of those. Just the fact that you are here with us today, and I'll put a shout out. This is Tara's first podcast experience, except on her own personal podcast, which we'll get to in a minute. But, just the fact that you're getting out here and you're sharing your story, that is huge. And that is going to, I think, make way for a lot of other warriors, from military veterans, but also just people on the reservation, to come out and just be like, hey, let's talk about this. Let's get it out there. So
Mhm.
thank you for
I
being a
think
part of that.
I think they're trying to preserve the culture, just like, in the military and stuff, they try to preserve the culture because they don't want to change it. But it's evolving into a world that
Exactly.
you can't keep bottling it up because now
Mhm.
things are starting to happen outside of the bottle. So we kind of almost got to pop off the top and allow the two worlds to exist together, because I think when you try to preserve something and the world around it is starting to change, you got to start doing it, or the people are going to suffer, right? You guys constantly not going to, there's going to be a lack of trust in there. There's going to be a lot of things that start to happen within the culture. So I think it's a fine line too, right? Because they watch what happens outside when we give into something, we go too hard with it. Right now we have a mental health crisis because we admitted that there's mental health. Now it's a mental health crisis, right? So once we start admitting something, it becomes abundant in abundance. We don't even know how to have moderation with things. So once we give like that amendments, and I think that's why a lot of these cultures are slow to get into it and don't want to, because they don't want the tidal wave of it. They don't want
Mhm.
the outcome that they've been suppressing for so long. Holy crap! Now we got hundreds of thousands of people that got mental health problems because we've been suppressing it forever.
Well,
But
and
I
you
think that
already
once they admit it early enough, right, then we won't have such a crisis anymore because we're starting, once we see it, we're taking care of it. We're not allowing it to linger, because what we're doing with a lot of people is we're telling them to suppress. So they're carrying it on. But the quicker we deal with these kind of things, the quicker that we can start to stabilize it. Because right now, when you first admit it, there's going to be a big backlash. But now you have to get control of that to start modern it. And that way, the little kids that grow up and the younger generation of warriors that come through, they know how to already process things, right? And they already know how to identify it before it becomes so big and problems. A lot of us, our problems started in our 20s, and they just grew all the way into our 40s. For me, it grew way into almost into my 40s, where I just took a whole bunch of stuff with me because I wasn't really dealing with it all.
well, and then I was just gonna say, that idea of you guys already have limited resources. And so I know it's probably harder to have the resources for the mental health because some of the resources are going towards other things. So I know that that's got to be rough. So I'm grateful that you were able to have the VA as a resource. And so let's continue on. You went to the VA.
Yes, I went to the VA and told them that I needed some additional help because I was struggling still and um, just mentally, like it was just becoming so exhausting that I felt like I didn't even know what it was like to be me. Like I didn't know anything. And I went to the VA for help and they got me connected with a behavioral health specialist. I started EMDR therapy. I tried CPT, cognitive processing therapy. That didn't really work for me. So then I tried group therapy. That didn't really work for me. So then I tried EMDR therapy, which is what I'm in now. And it's really, really helping me process things and just be able to get new perspectives on things that I didn't think of before, or um, like just like Dr. G, shout out to Dr. G at the VA. She has been a big help getting me a therapy that works for me. If this
Can
doesn't work, then try this.
So that's a
can you
good example of the first one didn't work well, right? You know, so you found something that worked well for you, and I think that's something that we got to tell everybody else. Just because you go try something and it maybe you didn't like the outcome or you didn't like what you're doing, that doesn't mean you can't try someone else and
Mm-hmm.
maybe get a better outcome.
Mm-hmm.
so two things. The first thing, it's interesting to hear, like Bryan was saying, like different things worked for different people. CPT was my saving grace, cognitive processing therapy. That was my saving grace to kind of figure out what was going on inside. And but for you, it's the EMDR, and the EMDR goes deeper into the trauma. The CPT focuses more on the now and where did these thoughts come from, but
Mm-hmm.
not focusing on the past, but kind of like bringing it back to the present. And EMDR goes more into the past. And you know, some people, like for myself, I got so lost in my trauma for so long, I never grew up. And I stayed in my trauma for so long. So the stuff that works for me is bringing me back to the present. But there's a lot of people who avoided their trauma for so long and just grew up and never really processed through it, and so they need to go back into it. So it's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing with kind of like prolonged exposure. And so it's interesting to kind of like hear the perspectives. But I wanted you just real quick, can you put an explanation for our users who don't know what EMDR is? Can you put a little explanation of what it is?
EMDR, I desensitization. Oh my gosh, I can't say it.
Eye movement desensitization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Art
Where
therapy.
you
Reprocessing.
reprocess.
Eye movement desensitization reprocessing.
Yes.
Yes.
You name events throughout your life where you're basically you think you have trauma, and you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, from 1 being the least worst to 10 being the absolute worst. And based on that scale, you go into your memory and you process it there's like a little ball that will kind of go back and forth, and you'll watch the ball and follow with your therapist. Your therapist is with you 100% of the way through everything. She's there, or they're
Now,
there with you.
sometimes I just wanted to throw it out there. Sometimes it's the ball that you're watching, and sometimes it's electronic stimulation,
Or this
and
too, they do pins.
sometimes it's
Mm.
tapping. So there's different
Oh, okay.
types. Yep.
Yeah, I actually had a therapist on that does this. So
Yeah.
I love to hear someone that actually went through it, because she loved it so much. It helped her through her problem that she became one of the therapists now and does it actually. So I think it's really
Nice.
intriguing to hear about that.
So you think about the thing, and you're doing this this eye movement stuff, which for some people who don't know, it simulates the brain's capacity to process when you're sleeping, because when you go into REM
REM
sleep,
sleep.
rapid eye movement sleep, that is when your body processes. But when you've been through trauma or PTSD, you don't go into deep sleep because of your nightmares, because of flashbacks, because of anxieties. Your brain is just going, going, going. And so you're not going through that rapid eye movement in your sleep, the REM sleep. And so what Tara's explaining is we're actually simulating this. So continue.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about the event that you went through, like a movie, I guess. And I haven't gone through the end of it just
Don't
yet.
you replace the trauma with something else, like a bang? Like the lady was telling me, like if you hear a bang, that you associate it with a balloon popping at a birthday party or something. I don't know if that's exactly what you've experienced, but I think what she was telling me is that you try to replace the trauma with something that happens, presently. So that way that triggers not when you hear that noise, it's not taking you back to the when it happened, it's taking you to a different situation. I don't know if that's
But
exactly what you went
it
through.
sounds like you're still kind of in the middle of it, right?
Yes,
When
Okay.
did you start?
I started about a month ago.
Oh,
Okay.
Like, I'm
sheesh.
still
So
So this
fairly
is brand
new.
new. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and, like, I'm still naming events, like, stuff that I think is not relevant or not a big deal. Like, go back into the next session, I'm like, "Oh, I thought of this. Oh, and this, and then I have this memory," and, like, it's it's still, like
Now, is it
You're
helping you?
building your program. You
Yes,
are just now getting started building the program that you are going to start implementing.
Now, is
yes,
it kind of bringing back memories that you maybe didn't have before, and you're like, "Oh shoot, I forgot about that trauma," or is it starting to like kind of bring back things so now you can kind of start processing things maybe you put back in a filing
yes,
cabinet and closed it?
yes,
Okay.
yes, and it's, helped me piece together time in a sense because I feel like with my memories, I have no concept of time. They're just a bunch of
You don't know the chronological order of it all, right? You just know
mhm,
that these events happen, but you don't even
yeah,
know like what happened before what.
Well,
Gotcha.
So
and I can imagine like as you're doing this, you have complex PTSD, right? From the
mhm,
childhood, the way that you were raised. And that's what complex PTSD is it's multiple sources of trauma. And
mhm,
so your childhood in itself, and we didn't even go into all of the details, but your
yeah,
childhood in yourself was trauma where you felt unsafe.
yes,
And so I can imagine you're processing through that stuff. You're also processing through the military stuff. You're also processing just through your not feeling like you had community. You're processing through your miscarriage and stuff like that. So
mhm,
it seems like there's going to be a lot of layers that are going to come up at the
yeah,
same time.
yeah, and she m my therapist told me to be prepared for the work, because I told her that I was, in school and taking care of my dad, and I kind of, have some things on my plate. And she says that, this is another thing on your plate as well. And you need to make sure that you have the time and the effort to put in the work because it does take work. And I feel that in my life now, I'm in a place where I'm ready to put in the work. I'm ready to um, process things because I don't want to carry so much with me all the time that I just, like certain things from my childhood. Like I just to give, one example, um I've seen my mom get run over by her boyfriend. I've seen he has um dragged a horse that I deeply, deeply cared about just to kill it in front of me. Like, there's certain things that are just horrible and just need that processing, that therapy, and I'm I'm ready to put that work in because I want to be better for myself.
So I want to ask where you're at right now because we kind of skipped over a few years, right?
Mhm.
But are you actively seeking sobriety now? Is that something that you're working through as well?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
I'm about to reach 3 years again.
Oh
Awesome.
shoot.
So, yeah, it's been a while, but I feel that I am stronger being sober. I am more uh I'm able to make more I'm able to make better life decisions when I'm sober. And I need that.
Right.
So it sounds like you kind of went through that same process that I went through, is like, okay, hey, I'm not okay. I'm not sure what's wrong, but this substance is not making anything better. I need some help. Let me get some help. You start you being able to go through the mental health stuff. It helps. It's not necessarily a requirement, but it helps when you can get off the substances that you're using to hide, so that
Mhm.
you stop hiding behind that. And
Mhm.
so it sounds like you kind of went through that, and then you're like, okay, I need to make space. Now I realize that there's a lot of stuff going on, so let me continue working and finding a program that's going to work for me.
Yes.
So it's awesome that you are going down this, and so I wanted to focus now just a little bit, on, okay, you've gone through this traumas, you joined the military, you got out, you kind of went through some hell, and you cleared the way by getting sober, you're working on your mental health stuff. So now I want you to kind of focus on, okay, how are you healing out loud now? How are you moving forward? What are some of the there's a word that I was introduced to recently by Garrett Biss, and he's another veteran, and he focuses on post traumatic growth. So what is your post traumatic growth story? You're talking about that you've got your podcast that you're doing now to advocate for others. You've got your war your Tera, the makeup stuff. So kind of talk about what you're doing as you are healing out loud, and how you're moving forward and sharing the message of hope to others as well.
Yeah. I think organizations such as the Wounded Warrior Project, like I will go hard for them no matter what, because they saved me I don't know how many times. They are a great resource. They have classes. Um, and there's the Veterans United Foundation. They offer scholarships and grants for veterans, and they're helping me get back into school.
Awesome.
There is the Warrior Scholars Project, which I found through Wounded Warrior Project, and it's an academic boot camp where they help veterans get ready for academics. They get you into that mindset, and I wish I had found them years and years
I
earlier.
had them on my show.
Really,
Good people.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I love them. I love them so much.
Son and
Um, and um, I utilize those organizations a lot. I reach out if I need help, if I have a question about anything. If they don't know, they'll find out for me. They'll find me resources, anything that I need. Those organizations are great, and they've helped me a lot over the past few years. And I use TikTok mainly for my makeup content, which is at Tera's War Paint. And I post like makeup tutorials, makeup reviews, makeup hauls, anything makeup, skincare, stuff like that. I kind of hang out over there. And with Yiiyah Podcast, I talk about missing and murdered Indigenous warriors who don't have a voice, who need a voice. I talk about their
Can
families.
I was just gonna say, before you go into more details that way, can you explain a little bit more about this movement of the missing and murdered Indigenous women or
Yes, so
warriors?
it was missing and murdered Indigenous women. I tend to call it missing and murdered Indigenous warriors to be more inclusive. There's also missing and murdered Indigenous persons, Indigenous relatives. There's all sorts of hashtags that you can use. Hashtag
So-
MMIW.
So why did this become a thing? Can you kind of like give a little bit of history of that?
Yeah, so missing are people all over the country have gone missing or have either been murdered and their cases are unsolved. There's little to no information on a lot of these cases. There are like, which is why I tend to stick to TikTok, because one case is like maybe 1 to 2 minutes. That's all the information you have on someone. So with MMIW, I try to make these videos focused on one person for each video and try to give background information on them as a person. What were they like? What school did they go to? What were how did their friends describe them? You know, just background information on who they are as a person, because their story matters. And you have like Navajo Times, you have newspapers like Navajo Times, you have the Tri-City Record, and they try to talk about these cases, but it's like these newspapers are only for the surrounding areas, the surrounding reservations and border towns and stuff, that there's no more awareness getting out there. So with Yiiyah Podcast, I try to come in and bridge that gap and try to put more cases out there for awareness.
Do you
So
mind if we play one video?
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you have one that you specifically like better than the other? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, before you do that, I just wanted to say out loud, so the reason why they've got this, this hashtag, right, is because there is a pandemic of missing Indigenous people that's happening, and it's been going on for years and years and years. And what Tara was saying is sometimes they just disappear without a trace. And so there's a lot of people that are trying to do more research and more awareness of, hey, what is going on? Let's stop this pandemic. Let's move forward. And Tara is getting involved with this because, it is an injustice with how often it is happening. I grew up in Arizona, and so I grew up by Navajo Nation, and so I remember hearing a lot about that kind of stuff. But it's something that it is a complete injustice of how often it's happening, and there's a lot that just disappear without a trace. So I'd love that you're doing this, Tara. But go ahead, Bryan.
Is there one that you would want to share of one of these videos more than the other? Or does it matter?
The first one, Ashlyn Mike, she will always have a special place in my heart.
Is that the one all the way to the right when you say first one, or okay? I'll go ahead and play that one right here. This one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Let me start.
Gotta unmute it.
And unmute.
16, a 12-year-old girl was almost lured into a stranger's van. She immediately said no, and the man drove further down the dirt road, where he encountered 2 other children who happened to be her siblings. 11-year-old Ashlyn Mike and her 9-year-old brother didn't make it home from school that day in Fruitland, New Mexico. They were tricked by a predator who offered them a ride home, and they entered his red van. They accepted because it was revealed that Ashlyn had hurt her foot. They climbed into the red van, with Ashlyn getting into the front seat and her little brother getting into the back seat. They were driven to the Shiprock Pinnacle in Shiprock, New Mexico, which is about an hour drive in the complete opposite direction. The Shiprock Monument is a massive volcanic rock formation that is considered sacred to the Navajo people. And it translates to rock with wings, and in Navajo, it is Sepet'ap. It is featured in popular movies such as Transformers. The predator led Ashlyn away from the view of her little brother while he stayed in the van. She was strangled and ultimately bludgeoned with a tire iron. After leaving her, the predator returned to his van, directed Ashlyn's little brother to get out, and drove off. Ashlyn was still moving when he left her alone in the desert. Ashlyn's little brother was found hours later, wandering alone. When her siblings didn't return home from school, the 12-year-old girl remembered the man in the red van. She called her mother in California. Ashlyn's parents frantically searched for them, but they were met with misunderstandings on jurisdictions with the Navajo Nation. Ashlyn's mother, Pamela Foster, contacted the Navajo Police Department in Shiprock, New Mexico. They continued to put her on hold and transferred her numerous times because they were short on staff. She resorted to social media and posted on Facebook about her children in the mysterious van. Ashlyn's little brother tried his best to recall where they went as search parties activated. The local chapter house was transformed into a command post. Prevented the Amber Alert from being broadcasted until the next day, losing precious time. It was 8 hours after Ashlyn's father, Gary Mike, reported his children missing. The Navajo Nation is 27,000 square miles among New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona. Pamela Foster has vowed to fight for an Amber Alert for Indian country. Almost 2 years after her death, Congress passed the Ashlyn Mike Amber Alert and Indian Country Act in 2018. This brings the Amber Alert system to federally recognized tribes across the United States, allowing them to work with their state resources. They also partner with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They also provide technical assistance and training to tribes with access to state Amber Alerts. Tribes are also eligible for Amber Alert grants. This is imperfect, and tribes still continue to face challenges. Staffing shortages in remote geographical locations and lack of access to broadcasting systems continues to be a struggle. The next day, police found Ashlyn's body on May 3, 2016. Law enforcement tracked down the van, and the predator was identified by Ashlyn's little brother. Tom Begay Jr. was found in a sweat lodge among men. He has been sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole in 2017. He was convicted of murder, aggravated child abuse, and kidnapping charges for the abduction of Ashlyn Mike. It was mentioned he was intellectually disabled and faced significant child abuse. 2 years later, in 2019, he requested to plead to lesser charges, claiming that he didn't understand his rights or the law, even claiming that his public defender was incompetent, and in 2020, this petition was denied. Pamela Foster continues to be a voice for her daughter. She described the Shiprock Pinnacle as her daughter's gravestone. On May 2, 2025, the growing and popular Shiprock Marathon added the Ashlyn Mike Mile to the roster in Shiprock, New Mexico. Officials announced this year that a new command center is being built in Shiprock. Gary Mike has organized previous memorial walks before COVID and hopes to provide a space for healing and support with access to resources and information for families in similar situations. MMIW Awareness Day is on May 5th.
Not proud of, but it is something that we have to work on with together as a family, as one unit. So thank you for being here from your busy day, Friday. I've seen many of the students here. Thank you for volunteering and being able to bring our families back together. So there's many mental health aspects to MMIW crisis.
On May 2nd, 2016, a 12-year-old girl.
So thank you, Bryan, for sharing that for her. So can you just touch base? You made the comment that this one will always have a special part in your heart. What is the significance of this one for you?
Ashlyn Mike was a little girl who just reminded me of myself when I was little. I used to play out in the boonies with my siblings all day and come back when it was dark. And that's what happened to her. After she got off the bus, she went and played with her little brother, and that's how they were taken. And it's just so sad what happened to her. And I just just can't imagine how scared she must have been and what she went through. And
was the perpetrator someone that lived on the actual? Was he part of the reservation?
Yes.
That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the community.
Yeah.
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 So that was your first recording, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was kind of like the beginning of you doing this, and I think it's really awesome that you're doing this, and you just got started just recently, right?
Just
When was that
recently.
video?
Mhm.
I was a few months ago.
Okay.
Trying to look
So
and see if I find the
let's
date.
make sure that we give Tara some awesome, recognition. Please like and share her podcast. If you have stories, Tara is always open. I know that was something, she's always open to stories. If you have stories that you want to see on her podcast, send her a message. Check her out on TikTok, check her out on Facebook, Yiiyah Pod, YII YAH.
Mhm.
And please check her out, give her some love, like and share. It'll be awesome. And I think
Thank
it's
you.
amazing that as you're healing out loud, you are also advocating for other people. So
Mhm.
thank you.
Thank you.
I imagine that's probably helping in itself as well, right? I mean,
Yes.
this is it kind of helps you process things as well, and it's another form of healing.
Yes. Yes, for
And
sure.
you're having a voice, in helping other people have a voice that don't have one.
You're
And
Mhm.
being
so
the voice for the
that is
voiceless.
amazing.
My buddy
Yes.
William Stevens always says, "Voice for the voiceless," and that's exactly a prime example. You're speaking for you're trying to put light on stories that maybe they're just suppressing down and no one's
Mhm.
talking about them, but they need to be talked about, right? Because we need to start getting ahead of this. There is a lot of it's a worldwide problem with kids end up missing. So
Yeah. Yes.
it
It
is
really
something that we need
is.
to shed some light on, and unfortunately, with algorithm, these type of things always get suppressed down into the lower end of being shed out there because you're trying to put light on something and it's these kind of things. Whenever I feel like you're trying to help mental health, you're trying to uncover something that's bad happening, for whatever reason the algorithm tries to hide and suppress that kind of stuff for whatever reason, and it only puts out the really ugly stuff that everybody constantly just clicks on and stuff. But these kind of
Yeah.
stories are important, and it's great for you to do something like this,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Well,
there's
Tara,
an
you
extensive amount of history that comes back from all these reservations and the tribes, and just I love the history of it all, and I do love that when you like you guys want to come out and you guys want to talk about things and put it out there to the rest of us, because a lot of us, we don't really know what it's like to grow up on a reservation or anything of the sort. We all hear stories and grow up listening to history, but to actually be a part of it. And when I got to serve with someone who was a Navajo Indian and all that, it actually brought a whole bunch of things to me that I got to learn, and that I didn't even get to know about. So I really appreciate what you're doing, Tara, and thank you. It's always, it's
Thank
not
you.
always easy to get in front of a camera and talk.
Mhm.
I could tell you that firsthand, and I'm sure Marie could tell you that as well.
yeah.
Um, there I go with that now. But
Yeah.
I really do appreciate once again what you're doing. I appreciate your commitment to our country and serving for the country. And like I said, I'm happy, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for you, because I do feel that little yearning from you that you are going to be an advocate. You're going to be a voice, not just telling stories, but also of healing, of how you got better, and maybe you can be a little bit of a change inside your reservation and bring a little bit of that part, and try to bridge the gap, and say, hey, I've been able to kind of maintain, and my life has been so much more fruitful now that I've gotten to be healing. And it is a fruitful thing when you are actually out of the darkness, and you
Yes.
get to smell the flowers and you get to see the colors and enjoy life. It is such a fruitful and rewarding thing. So maybe you can be that change. Maybe you can be that person that brings that bridge to that gap. And that's always a hard thing to do, right? Especially when you're so embedded to tribalism and this is the culture, this is the way we've done it. It's hard to sometimes break those molds and have that change agent. But I mean, you may be able to be that person.
Well, and then I was just gonna say, like you are a really amazing example of the type of stories that we want on here, right? Is PTSD to advocacy. You came through some hard shit, and from your childhood, you overcame that and got into the military, and then you dealt with all of this stuff in the military. Then you got out and you struggled with your alcoholism and you fought through, you utilize the resources that are available to help you. You utilize the resources that are there to help you heal. You reached out to the VA, and then you changed into that course of advocacy, and I think that it's beautiful. And just you being here and sharing your story is wonderful. And we're so very grateful for you to be on here and to kind of watch you grow. And then I just want to throw a shout out if anybody else, is interested in sharing your story. Come on here, show us your PTSD to advocacy story. Come on here and heal out loud. Show us what you're doing. Show us the resources that you're utilizing. Thank you for sharing your resources. And and then again, go and give Tera some love. Yiiyah Pod. And just thank you so much for being here, Tera.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
Yeah, I hope your first experience was a good one.
Yes, yes, it was.
It's not always easy, but I imagine that this was the first step of you getting that feeling of what it's like to tell your story. And you might walk away feeling a little bit better from this. And it's literally you're building yourself a foundation to feel comfortable about being transparent with what you've gone through. And that way someone else can experience it. Because I mean, I know I've shared some things on here. I am not proud of myself and the things that I have done, but that doesn't mean I'm going to suppress it and hide it from everybody. I want people to understand, hey man, you're going to make things, you're going to make mistakes along the way. You're going to do things you're not proud of. But at the end of the day, that doesn't necessarily define you. It just builds your character. It's just part of building that character up for you and making you a stronger person and being able to be an advocate for the people out there that maybe don't want to have that voice, you're doing amazing things, and just keep being you, keep doing you. And I imagine some great things are going to come out, and we're excited. We're going to support you. I followed you on TikTok, and once again, we'll keep getting your story out there. And also, like Marie said, if you want to be a part of the show and you want to tell your story and you want to hear out loud, give us an email. Every day is a Saturday, 365 at yahoo.com, and we'll get you scheduled up. I feel like we're almost scheduled all the way
full.
through this year.
We are full until December. So just send us an email and we'll get you set up for January and beyond.
Yeah. So, and also that gives you some time to work up, telling your story and having the cojones to do it. But is there anything else before we leave, Tera? Is there any last things that you want to share with us that maybe you didn't get a chance to share with us?
No, I think that was everything. I just shout out to my dad, my nieces and nephews. If you're watching this, I love you guys so much. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tera. You seem like an amazing human being, and you're definitely one of the lights amongst the darkness, and we appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Marie. Well, goes ahead and wraps up another amazing interview. That was a fun one. And yeah, we probably ran a little bit longer than usual, but you know what? These conversations sometimes tend to be that way, and I think it's always great. And I just was intrigued by her story. So that's probably why you hear me asking a lot more questions than usual. And I am sure Marie too, we were just like pegging her with questions. I think that's probably the most we just threw questions at a guest.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Like,
for her. It's her first podcast. And we're
all
like,
trying to get through
hey.
her story. And we got like 30 questions, man. But
Yeah.
no, I was just excited to have her on and very intrigued by her story. And
Yes.
that's like why, once again, I got a little excited about the questions. So um, I'm glad if you guys made it this far, you bared with us. And once again, just go over there, join us on the Facebook group side, post there. That's a good place to kind of network with veterans and like-minded folks. Please use it as, like to get your stuff out there. If you're doing books, your music, you just want someone to come check your site out. Hey, it's open to everybody to share and stuff. And also, if you're out there struggling, don't forget there's a crisis lifeline. For you veterans out there, you're gonna dial 988 and you're gonna press 1. This crisis lifeline is not just for veterans, it's for everybody. But if you are a veteran, press 1. It will put you in touch with someone that can hopefully help you with where you're at, get you on the right, resource path and such.
And also, if you are looking for a message of hope, check out my website, sliderbabe.com. Please check it out. You can access, my website that has my poetry. You can reach out to me for recovery advocacy. I can kind of get you connected to some resources and talk to you about what I've been through. And you can also sign up to be a guest or sign up for or check out the podcast, on there as well. So sliderbabe.com. I am available. I am a resource for you. Please reach out.
Absolutely. And also, you can email her and tell her to get her damn link out so you can get a copy of her book.
Marie at sliderbabe.com.
Or there you go.
Feel
Just
free.
hit her up
Send
and
me.
tell her you want to buy it right there, because
Yep.
you know what?
Send me an email. So I was telling Bryan, I believe last time, I am working on a reprint of my book because it was missing a line and there's a couple other things that I need to change. So as soon as I get that reprint in, I will get things being sold online. If you are interested in donating books to treatment facilities or crisis centers or psych units or jails, please reach out to me as well because I'm looking for funding. If you are willing to buy a book or a few books for that or a large order, that would be great. And I will send you a personal signed copy as well. So if you're interested, if you know anybody else who's interested, my book, I want to get it into centers to share hope and love and find that recovery from trauma and addiction. So Marie, Marie at sliderbabe.com. SLIDERBABE.
All right. All right. Well, once again, that wraps up another amazing interview with another interview. And we thank you guys for following us and liking the show. Please continue to do so. That way we can get these amazing stories out to everybody. And you know how we should say on the show, don't let the day kick your ass. Make sure you're out there kicking it. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.